portals of the Azure DevOps. As the title, you can see that I'm going to discuss about the deployment of PowerApps portal dedicated. So before I start with the session, a bit introduction about me. My name is Arpi Srivastav, and I'm a Dynamics 365 Saturday ambassador, and I'm a consultant, Dynamics 365 consultant and architect. I'm a blogger, and I'm writing a lot of blogs since 2014. I'm a speaker, I'm a mentor, and I'm a trainer as well. And I'm working Dynamics 365 and a lot of C# technologies since 2011 version of Dynamics, and having expertises in the Dynamics 365 Power Platform, Azure DevOps, and various Azure components and the C# technologies. So after the session, if you have any queries related to the Dynamics 365 Power Platform, the Power Apps portal, Dynamics portals, or related to Azure or the DevOps and the C# technology, you can connect me through my blogs. You can just post your queries. You can find my YouTube channel or uh, my Twitter account as well. So you can find my page with the Think Dynamic, Do Dynamic as a Microsoft community page is available, and the YouTube channel is also there. So after the session, all the recordings and my sessions PPT will be available on my YouTube channel as well as on the Power community YouTube channel as well. So let's discuss quickly about the agenda, that what we're going to discuss about in the next 1 hour. So we're going to discuss about the challenges of the portal. So there are a lot of challenges that the portal developer are facing these days related to the development activities and related to the deployment activities. See, I'm going to cover all the challenges that the portal developer faces, and then I'm going to discuss about the deployment planning. I think that is one of the most important thing then when you start doing your deployment either manually or the Azure DevOps. So the planning is the most important thing. So I'm going to discuss about some important tips and tricks that you need to keep in mind while starting your portal deployment. I have some live demonstration available for you, so that I can just show you that how you can take the backups and the deployment using Azure DevOps. So, and the last would be the best practices. That is very mandatory thing that when you are doing any deployment, whether it's a Dynamics 365 or the Power Apps portal or any technology. So what are the do's and don'ts you have to take care of it. So I'm going to discuss about the best practices in this topic. So let's start with the challenges. What are the major challenges that portal developers usually follow? So usually there are a lot of challenges related to the development activities. But since this is a DevOps Saturday, so I'm going to discuss about all the challenges that is related to the deployments and the backup. So being a developer, you can imagine that how difficult the life of the developer is if everything they have to tackle it manually, right? So each and every developer has to deal with all the new sprint requirements. They have to work on the last sprint leftovers. They have some pending items of the last sprint. They have to work on the UAT fixes. They have to work on the SIT issues. They have to work on the production issues. And if the application is already went live on the production, then they have to work on the customer feedback as well. And these development activities, okay, but along with this development activity, when the developer has to uh, add some additional time in the backup and deployment, then it's very tedious job actually. So like that Microsoft has provided a lot of low code, no code components, and they are forcing towards to use the Power Automate, Power Virtual Agent, Power Apps. So all these features are just a drag and drop, and you don't need to write a code actually to build any application or to do the integrations and all. But if you are not able to deploy this application on the production and the end users are not able to use that application as quickly as possible, then it doesn't make any sense to provide this low code and no code, right? So it actually puts a lot of pressure on the load on the developers that whatever they are actually developing on the development instance, they have to quickly deploy on the production as well, right? So obviously there should be some mechanism so that we can just reduce the development. We can just reduce the deployment effort of the developer so that they can just focus on the development activities. So let's discuss more about some challenges. So the first thing is the manual deployment. So that is one of the tedious job that every developer has to do. Right, in the portal, when you install the portal, there is a configuration. There is a lot of customizations are there, and without the using of DevOps, you have to do all the deployment manually. Right, you have to deploy all the configuration. So during the whole day, you have to work on the development activities, and at the end of the day, you have to provide additional time to find out all the components. You have to create the schema file. You need to use the you obviously use the configuration migration tool for the deployment. So you have to create the schema file, and you need to manually export the data from that source instance or your development instance, and then you have to import that into the target instance. And there are a lot of troubleshooting you also need to take care of it, because you are doing manual activities. So every deployment takes around 1 to 2 hours if you are doing it manually, right? And it's always a tedious job when you have to do it after the development work. So this is one of the most challenging thing that every developer has to deal with it, at the manual deployment. Second part is the manual backup. That is also a big thing that I personally felt that is the most challenging thing in the portal right now, and we don't have any out-of-box way available that we can take the backup of the portal, because during the day I can be work on the web pages, entity forms, entity list, web templates. So there are a lot of ways to write the code in the portal, but there is no way available in the portal to take the manually backup of your custom code. Right, you can anyways take the backup of your whole configuration, like the way you take the backup of your dynamic CRM master data. In the same way, you can take the backup of your configuration of the portal as well, but it provides you the zip file, right? So you cannot, and it's very difficult to take out your custom code, your jQuery, CSS, liquid templates and all from that zip file, right? So you need to have some kind of mechanism so that you can keep your HTML code, jQuery code, GSS, CSS, and the liquid template in the portal, right? So I'm going to discuss about and will demonstrate it to you that how you can take the how can you can convert this manual backup activities to the automation. And obviously the third thing, they accidentally lost the code. So this is one of the major thing that during the whole day you have worked on the functionality, but you forgot to take the backup and deploy the things on the target instance. And next day you come to the office and you find that everything got lost, your trial got expired, or whatever instance you're working on that is not working. So there are a number of reasons that leads to lost your code. So this is also one of the a very difficult situation for the developer, that any feature they are developing on the development stand got lost. So yeah, so this is also one of the challenge that each developer face. So the objective of this today's session is, that I already told you, the take care of what's important and automate the rest. So the job of the developers is to work on the productive things. There are a lot of interesting things that Microsoft is providing these days on the every releases. So there are a lot of things to investigate, there are a lot of things to learn, and if you always spend your time to troubleshoot the issues and do the manual activities, then you cannot find the quality time for that. So the objective of the today's session, that you have to take care of the important things, and the backup and the deployment, these kind of things we can automate. So before starting the deployment, there are a few things that you need to plan before starting your portal deployment. So I have involved in various portal development projects and in the deployments, and based on my personal experiences, I have collected various points that you need to keep in mind if you have to do the effective portal deployments. Since it seems very easy that you just need to take the configuration backup, sorry, you just need to take the export of your configuration and just import it into the target instance. But it's not that easy actually. If you don't properly plan your deployment of your portal, you always end up mash everything, right? So yeah, so I have collected a lot of important tricks and tips that you need to keep in mind when you start doing your portal deployment. The first thing is the portal availability. So being a deployment manager or the developer, you need to make sure that if you have to do the deployment, then in the source and the target, both the instance should have the same portal available. For example, if your development instance has the customer self-service portal available, then if you are planning to deploy it to the SIT or the UAT or the production instance, then it's a prerequisites kind of things, or you can say it's a planning kind of thing. Then you need to make sure that in your target instance would have the same portal available. Okay, so these things you need to keep in mind before starting your deployment. The second important thing is the multilingual portal. So if you have enabled a lot of languages in your portal instances, let's say in your development instance, if you are using Spanish and English and the Japanese languages. So let's say you have configured 3 languages, and in your target instance, you need to make sure that the same language pack and the same languages should be installed in the target instance as well. So if you don't actually sync the configuration or sync the language configuration in both the instances, then definitely it's going to fail the whole deployment process. Okay, and one more thing related to the plugins.
मैं समझ में आ गया आप तो केस खत्म है, आप तो मत कहना कि जमाल देखी ना अमो छुपाती रही, समझ में आया ना?
Please, can you someone please go on mute? Thank you. So this is about the multilingual portal, and when you install a portal, there are a lot of plugins gets installed out of box with that, and especially with the languages. So if you install a portal, you will find there are a lot of plugins gets automatically installed related to the languages specifically. So that plugins automatically gets triggered when you enable a language in the portal. So you need to make sure that if you have configured multiple languages in your portal, then before the deployment, you just need to disable all the plugins in your target instance. So that is the important thing you need to keep in mind. CRM solution strategy. So there is no kind of thumb rule that you have to follow any kind of specific strategy to create a CRM solution. It depends on the project, it depends on the project teams, and depends in your organization. But if I talk about the portal, I would say that you always need to create a separate solution so that you can create and distinguish your portal components differently. Okay, so it's a good practice also, and when you deploy your portal, you can easily troubleshoot as well. So always keep in mind that your portal solution should be different from the CRM solution. Okay. Customization best practices, it's also a very important thing, and there are a lot of list of customization best practices related to the development, but from the deployment perspective, you always need to keep in mind that whatever solution component you are creating for the portal, like forms or the views, it should be different from the CRM actually. So let's suppose you have to create the entity form or the entity list. Then in that case, your CRM forms and the view should be different, because the CRM forms and the portal forms UI is always different. Okay, so if for example, on the portal forms, you are not allowed to use a particular field twice on the form, but in the CRM form you can use that field multiple times. So these kind of things can happen, and if the CRM developers and the portal developers are using the same component, or let's say the same forms or the same views, and there are a few configurations that you only need to do in the CRM but not want to do on the portal, then in that case there might be a lot of issue happen. So it's a very good practice that you need to create a separate forms in the view. So when you are doing the deployment, you don't need to touch the CRM forms and the views. You just need to extract only your forms and the views, so it will not impact the CRM deployment. Naming convention, it's also a big thing, and it plays a major role when you do a deployment. So when you install a portal, there are a lot of out-of-box components gets installed, right? The web pages, the web templates, entity forms, entity lists. So there are a lot of out-of-box configuration you will already get to see. But it's a good practice that you need to create some kind of naming convention like you do in the CRM. You always use the publisher, right? In the same way, the portal, when you're creating your web pages or any of the components, you create some kind of prefix, or you can create some kind of unique name, so that you can easily identify your own components, your custom components. So it actually helps you to identify your custom components from the existing components, and it also helps you deploy your selective components as well. So nowadays in the configuration migration tool, we have the fetch XML queries are also available. So if you want that, you don't want to deploy the out-of-box configuration of the portal and you only want to deploy your custom component that you have created. So you can easily create a fetch XML query and just select all the components which contains a particular name or the naming convention and just retrieve all the records that you created your own. So this kind of way you can easily manage your deployment easy. So naming convention plays a very important role in that. Don't include site settings in your each deployment. So this is also a very important things because sometimes sometimes there might be some site setting which differs organization to organization or instance to instance. Let's say I'm talking about the Azure AD B2C authentication. So if you have enabled Azure AD B2C authentication in your development instance or in your target instance, so in that case your site settings will be different. Okay, your name will be same, but the values of the site setting will be different in the development and the production or the development in the UAT instance. So just make sure in the first deployment you deploy everything, but in the incremental deployment you don't deploy the site settings if you have such kind of scenarios, right? Because I personally face this kind of thing that I deploy the site setting and it's override the the site setting values of the target instances. That should not supposed to be happen. So this is the one of the important thing that you need to keep in mind. Include nodes for the web file deployment. So web file is actually a kind of container where you can keep all the kind of files, whether it's images or your bootstrap CSS, your custom CSS, your JavaScript file. So there might be a lot of files you can use in your portal configurations. So that actually store all the files in your nodes. So if you are actually using nodes to store that, if you are using Azure Blob Storage, then it's a different picture. But if you are using nodes to attach all the web files, then don't forget to include the annotation entity in your configuration migration tool. Otherwise, you will end up facing this issue that there is no file got migrated from your source to destination. So that is also important thing. Deployment order, for example, the portal configuration is the combination of two things. First is the configuration that you actually do in the portal, like creating web pages, custom JavaScript, HTML and all. So that is the part of your configuration. And the second part is the customization that you do actually in the dynamics in the CRM component. For example, creating CRM forms, CRM views, and creating fields and all. So you usually have two kinds of deployments. First is your CRM component deployment and second is your portal component deployment. And CRM and portal, both components are interlinked with each other. For example, if you're creating an entity form, so entity form is dependent on the CRM form because you have to select the CRM form in the drop down. Same in the entity list, you have to select the CRM view, right? So if I talk about the deployment order, then you need to keep in mind that your CRM solution component should be deployed first, then your portal component should be deployed. If you're not following your deployment order properly, then there might be some mapping issue you may face when you do the deployment. So always keep in mind that if you are deploying anything on the target instance, and especially if you are doing first time deployment, if the solution components are already there in the target instance, then it's fine. But if you are doing first time deployment, then make sure that you do your CRM deployment first, CRM component deployment first, then you do the portal deployment. Another important thing that you need to keep in mind as a deployment planning is the views to avoid OData query issues. I have seen a lot of issues on the Microsoft community forum that people are asking that when we deployed our configuration from source instance to destination instances, we started facing OData query issues. The OData queries is not working. So those who have worked on the OData queries in the portal, they know that in order to create an OData in the portal, you need to create an entity list for that, right? And in that entity list, you need to select the view. Okay. So this is the prerequisite to create an OData query. So let's say if you have 4 OData queries enabled in your CRM source instance, and you have created 4 views for that, but by any chance you forget to include that CRM view in your portal deployment or in your CRM deployment, then in that case your all OData query will not work. So this is you can say kind of bug in the portal, or you can say that it's an issue that you might face when you do the deployment. So always make sure that if you have enabled OData query in your portal, then include all the views that you have used in that OData query in your CRM solution. But in any case, if you are facing any kind of OData query issues in your deployment, you just need to check that whatever views you have referred in your entity list, it's available in your target instance or not. So this is a kind of thing that you need to keep in mind. Configuration migration tool. So this is the tool that we usually use when we use the deployment from source to target instance. So there are a few things that you need to keep in mind while using configuration migration tool, like don't include user, teams, instance specific records. So this is not applicable for all the cases, but in case if you are in your instance, let's say you are using development and the UAT, okay, and in your development instance your user and the teams are different from the UAT instances, then in that case you don't include user and the team with that, because your portal components are associated with a particular user. If that user will not available in the target instance, then your record will get failed. So it's a good practice that you don't include your user and the team in that specific configuration migration tool schema file fields. Use fetch XML for the selective component. So that is if you are using a latest configuration migration tool, you will get the fetch XML. So don't migrate every time your whole portal configuration, whether you have changed or not, right? So you have to keep in mind that fetch XML should be used so that you can deploy only selective components of the portal. Disable all the portal out of box plugins. So that is also an option available in the configuration migration tool, that you can disable that. So these are the things that you need to configure in the configuration migration tool according to the situations. Deploy on the published component. So in my last session, I got a question from one of the colleague, like is there any way like we can mark the record that I don't want to deploy this component, I only want to deploy that component. So like the CRM, we can easily include the component in the solution, and then only we can deploy that particular components, right? So there might be the situation that I'm working on the 3 web pages, but at the end of the day I have to do the deployment, but one of my web pages is still under development. I don't want to deploy it to the target instance. So is there any way available in the portal that I can skip that record from being deployed on the target instance? So there is no direct way provided by the Microsoft, but from my own experience, there is a field on each component like publishing state, right? So that publishing state decides whether you want to expose a particular component on the portal or not. So that publishing state has 2 values, draft and the published. So draft means your portal component is still under development, and the published means you are ready to expose that component to the portal. So if you feel like this component is not yet ready to deploy in the production or in the UAT instance, then you can just simply change that component publishing state value to draft mode instead of using published mode. And in your configuration migration tool, you simply use the fetch XML query to deploy only published components, not the draft components. So by using that way, you can skip the components that are still under development. And the last one is the collaboration, the communication. That is the one of the most important thing that you need to keep in mind, that because the CRM components are dependent on the portal, and the portal are dependent on the CRM components. So your CRM development team and your portal development team should be in the sync. That in the each deployment they have to collaborate with each other, that it should not impact the each other component, because sometimes what happen is CRM teams is working on a particular component that is being referred on the portal as well, but they didn't convey this thing to the portal team. Then in that case there might be a lot of issues may occur in the deployment. So there is one of the most important thing that before starting your deployment, your CRM development team, your portal development team should have a half an hour of common call if they are not on the same location or they're scattered on the different location, and come on the same page that what you are going to deploy or what not. So these are the deployment planning, and there are a lot of other things as well, but I have jotted down only some important things that you need to keep in your mind while starting your deployment, and you can make your portal deployment smooth if you are keeping this deployment planning in your mind. what are the possible options for portal backup and the deployment? So the first thing I think you heard since morning, like there are a lot of tools available to deploy your CRM components and some other technology components. The first thing that Microsoft has own provided by the for deployment is the Power Apps build tools. Okay, why I've kept it as a grayed out, because there are a few things that still Microsoft is working on, because it has some limited task available from the portal deployment perspective. It has only limited task available right now. You can export the solution, you can unpack the solution, you can import the solution, but currently there is no way to export or import your master data or the configuration data, right? So you can just simply use this tool later on, but going forward I think Microsoft definitely going to provide these tasks in the future releases. But export and import solution are tasks you can use for the Power Apps build tools. The second tool is the Power App DevOps tools. I think this is being developed by the Whale Hamzy. So I'm really privileged that Whale Hamzy himself is present in this session. So if you have any questions related to the Power Apps, Power DevOps tool, then you can directly ask to him. So this is the best tool that I am using from last 1 year. That there are a lot of components and there are a lot of automation build tasks are available in these tools. So in this today's demonstration, I'm going to use this tool only to show you that how you can deploy and how you can take the backup of your portal using this Power DevOps tools. But sometimes what happens is you are not allowed to use any tools in your Azure DevOps. Like I was working in the last project, and it was a banking domain, and there was a lot of restrictions to use some external tools, and there was a lot of approvals required if you are going to use any external tools due to n number of reasons, right? So if you don't want to use these tools, then obviously you have the PowerShell option available. So if you are a PowerShell champ, then and you have a very good knowledge of scripting and all, and if you want to mold the task or change the task as per your need, then definitely PowerShell is the best option for that, right? But if you don't don't want to write the code and simply want to use the already existing task, then I would refer to go with the Power DevOps tools or the Power Apps build tools that is provided by Microsoft. So I'm going to use the Azure DevOps for the portal deployment. And what is the prerequisite for that? So the first thing, you need to have the Azure DevOps subscription, whether you can use the licensed one or the trial one. You need to have the configuration migration tool. So make sure that you are using the latest migration configuration migration tool, so that you will get all the the latest features that Microsoft introduced, like fetch XML and disable plugins and all. The third thing is the Power Up DevOps tools. You can also use the Microsoft build tools as well for few of the tasks. But for this demonstration, the prerequisite is Power DevOps tools, or you can use the PowerShell as well. And the fourth one is obviously we need to have some Dynamics instance where the portal is installed. So this is the prerequisites required for the portal deployment. Okay, let's see everything in action. So I'll just quickly show you what I have done is here. So here is my DevOps instance, and here's my project. I have this the source instance available. So here's my portal. Here's my Dynamics 365 instance, where I have used I have installed the customer self-service portal, and all the components are there here. So as you can see here, if I just simply go to the web pages. So I was talking about the naming convention, right? So if you can see here, I'm using the keyword power so that I can identify that these are my custom component that I have created. So this is the way you can easily.
Arpit, your screen is not
Arpit. Just a reminder that you're sharing your slide still. You're not sharing
Oh,
your screen.
oh,
Your Visual
really
Studio.
sorry. Let me share it again. Just let me know if you can see.
We're still seeing your presentation, not the. There you go. There you go. Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, thanks. Oh, yeah, really applaud you guys. This is the Dynamic 365 instance where I have actually installed the customer self-service portal. Okay, and as I was talking about the planning of the deployment, so if you can see here, I have used the power keyword on my custom component. So I have created 2 web pages. I have created a lot of custom web pages, but for the demonstration purpose, these web pages I am using the power keyword. So it's not kind of thumb rule that you have to use a some kind of best practice that you have to use. You can use your client name, you can use any kind of prefix, your company code, anything you can use, just so that you can easily identify that these are your custom components. So what I'm going to do is I'm only going to deploy the web pages having this power keyword in the name of the web pages and going to deploy in the target instance. Okay, so if you can see here in the configuration migration tool, I think you are already aware about it. So in the web pages, so what I was talking about is there are few fields that is directly related to the users and the teams. For example, like if I talking about the owning users and the owning team. So sometimes what happen is if you include the users and the team and then doesn't exist in your target instance, then your record gets failed, right? So you need to keep in mind that whether you are using same group of users across the instances or not. So based on that, you can add or remove the fields while creating the schema file. And once you add the entity under the tools, you have few settings available. So if you go to the configure import settings, there is a fetch XML option available, right? So yep, so you can simply write your fetch XML here. So you are not allowed to use the whole fetch XML to paste it here. You just need to use only the filter criteria. So what you can do is simply just create a fetch XML query that retrieve all the record which retrieve all the web pages record which names contains the power keyword. Okay, and just paste your query here and just simply export and import. One more important thing, like disable plugins. So that is also important things, because there are a lot of out of box plugins that get installed with the portal installation that automatically, for example, when you create a web page, there is a plugin which automatically triggers and create a localized content with that and associate with that particular web page. So if you forget to disable the plugin, you will end up creating duplicate web pages and the duplicate localized content. In the same way, if you have enabled multiple website languages, you will always see, if you are not disabling the plugin, you will see multiple web link set, duplicate web link set and the duplicate web pages created in your target instance. So always remember that when you are doing your portal deployment, your plugin should be disabled. Okay, this is the one thing. And the second thing, when you are doing a deployment, you should always take the primary key in your primary key, so to map your records. Okay, for example, this is very mandatory. For example, if you are creating web pages with the same name, so if you are not taking the primary field to map the records, then configuration migration tool will always create a single record of that duplicate record. So let's say for I have created a web page, right? So for the web pages, I have a web page ID. So always keep remember in mind that you need to select the primary field of that particular entity. So these are the things that you need to configure in your configuration migration tool so that you can reduce your portal deployment issues and all. Okay, and you just need to export it. So you can just create a simple schema file. So I've already have my schema file available. So I'm not going to deploy the whole configuration because it's obviously going to take a time. So what I've done is in my Git repository, I have a folder portal configuration, and I have created a 2 schema file over here, a web page schema and the portal schema file. So I'm going to use the web page schema file. So it depends on the situation that if you want, if you often work on the web pages, web templates, entity forms and the entity list, so you can create or customize your schema file accordingly, right? So for example, like there are few entities available in the portal like site markers, and there are few custom entities, few entities available that you often you don't work usually on that particular entity record. So there is no doesn't make any sense if you are deploying these records again and again. So you can create your own file and include only those entity that you are that you are actually working on that. So you can see here I have just simply go and uploaded the web pages schema file over here. Okay, I have created a pipeline. So there are basically in the Azure DevOps, we have the CI/CD pipeline. I think I don't need to describe here what is CI and what is CD, because I assume that you already had a great knowledge during the day that what is continuous integration in the continuous deployment. So I have created two CI pipeline here. One is portal build pipeline and second is the portal backup pipeline. Okay. And if you can see here in why I created two pipelines. The first pipeline I actually used to take the portal backup. Okay, so I'm not going to use the CD pipeline for this portal backup pipeline. But this is my build pipeline that for every week I have to do the deployment. So I have created the release pipeline for this build pipeline. Okay, and for this portal backup pipeline, I have not created the CD pipeline. So if you can, if I just simply demonstrate to the backup pipeline first, let me go to the edit. So here I am, as I told you that I'm going to use Power DevOps tools. Okay, so what I've done is I've just simply, added a few tasks. Like first is the DevOps tool installer task I've added. So if you go here, you can simply file the Power DevOps tool, or you can find the Microsoft Power Build tools as well. So this tool is already installed in my DevOps instance, but if this tool is not installed in your instance, then first get it installed in your instance, then you can simply start using its tasks. So this tool installer will make sure that all the prerequisite the packages and all the tools that is required to perform the next task will automatically get installed. Okay, ping environment is basically used to check that whether your environment is reachable or not, or whether you are able to connect or not. The another thing is I've used as export configuration migration data. So it's simply making the connection with my source instance, source Dynamics 365 instance. And so there are a lot of ways to connect your Dynamics 365 instance. It depends on situation to situation. So currently I'm using the Office 365, that is the basic authentication. But if you have to provide some more kind of security layer of Azure, or if you have a multi-factor authentication enabled in your instance, then you can simply go with the OAuth authentications. Okay, so there are plenty of ways to connect your Dynamics 365 instance. I'm using the URL, username and the password. So this is the best way to secure your connection string or your username and the password. So what I've done is I have just simply created a pipeline variable here. So if you can see here, I have created three variables: CRM username, URL, and the password. And there is a way to encrypt these the variables. So you can simply lock these settings and simply unlock these settings based on the need. So if you have some sensitive data or some secret keys you're going to use in your pipeline, then it's a best practice that you don't expose your username and password. So I'm just simply referring these variables over here, the username and the password, and the schema file. So I'm just simply referring the schema file that I'm using. So I'm gonna export all the web pages which contains power keyword. So I'm just taking the schema file of web pages. But if you have kind of requirement that I have to use some other schema file as well, so there are different ways to do that. Either you can add one more task over here, export configuration migration data, and can take and can browse the other schema file, or you can create another pipeline as well if you have some complex requirements. And this is the file location that I'm creating. So build artifact staging directory and data.zip file. So once my build cycle is completed, the zip file, the data zip file, the exported file will be available at the artifacts, the build artifacts location. So this is the default location of the build artifacts where I want to store my data.zip file. So you can give any of the name of the data file. So I have just simply given the data.zip file. And this is the mandatory. If you don't give the data.zip file, then your step will get failed. So this is the configuration you need to do. Once your export is done, you need to publish your artifacts at the build artifacts location. So I have just simply configured these default settings over here, and this is this is the optional step that I'm using. That if you want to have the requirement that after the export of your data.zip file, you just want to extract that the same way you extract your solution using solution packager. So if you have such kind of requirement, then you can simply use the extract configuration migration data as well. Okay, so it will simply extract your data.zip file. So if you have exported web pages, entity forms, and the entity pages, entity lists, then it will simply extract in the multiple folders. In the same way, I'm just pushing all this extracted folder in the published artifact locations. Okay. So this is the basic configuration I have done for the portal backup pipeline, and let me run it first. So right now I have ran this pipeline manually, but in order to take the backup in the in the scheduled manner, you can simply just go to the pipeline. So let's say I have a build pipeline. Go to the edit, and you can simply schedule that. So you have the option to go to the options. Sorry, go to the triggers, and you can simply schedule that. Okay, so this is the option you can schedule. So you don't need to worry about whether you have to, your code will get accidentally lost, or you didn't take the configuration backup and all. So you just need to focus on the development activities, and this CI pipeline of portal backup will automatically run at the scheduled time and will take your all the configuration data. Let's see that what is the status of the pipeline. So as you can see here, all the task has been performed excellently well, and I got the 2 artifacts published. So this is the first artifacts configuration data. I have appended the date as well, and I got the data.zip file, and I have used the extracted file as well. So it extracted all the folders over here, ADX web pages and all. Yep. So obviously, and I also got the email notification on my on my email ID that my portal backup is done. So I am not using any deployment pipeline, the release pipeline for this backup pipeline. So for end-to-end deployment for export the data and import into target instance, I have created a separate pipeline. That is a build pipeline. So it also does the following that the backup pipeline does is, but I have associated a release pipeline with that. That is the only difference. So I have included all the same tasks, but if I go to the release pipeline, so I have created a release pipeline called portal release pipeline, and if I go to the edit, it's taking a lot of time. Okay, so so you can see here in the release pipeline what configuration I have done is I have selected the portal build pipeline as an artifact. So I need to select that, in order to run my release pipeline, from where I have to pull the artifacts. So I have selected the build pipeline, right? I'm not going to select the backup pipeline because that is not the purpose of that. And I've selected this pipeline, and I can simply provide the trigger also, that it should be automatically trigger when my build is completed, right? And what task I have to perform in order to import that data into target instance. I just simply use the tool installer, ping environment, and just simply importing the migration data. So the same configuration I have done. Only the difference is I need to give the path from where I have to get the data file. So I have just simply given the path where I'm just dumping my data.zip file using the build pipeline. So let's see how it works. So I'm going to the build pipeline and running it. Okay, so it will take 3 to 4 minutes of time. So meanwhile, I will just discuss about the last thing in my session, that is the best practices. Okay, so there are a lot of things I have covered in the planning as well, but there are a few things that you need to keep in mind when you do the deployment, so that your DevOps should not become the DevOps. So that first thing is to keep your portal CI/CD pipeline separate from the D365 pipeline, right? So it's always a good practice that you not mess everything in a single pipeline. So it's better, it's a good idea that you create a separate pipeline for the portal deployment. But again, it's not a kind of thumb rule that you have to follow. It depends on the situation and depend on the project to project and depend on your release cycle as well. So if you are deploying your Dynamics CRM along with the portal, then you can use the single pipeline as well. But if your portal deployment and your CRM deployment cycle is different and you usually don't deploy at the same time, then you can, it's best practices to keep your portal CI/CD pipeline different from the Dynamics 365 pipeline. Avoid deploying whole portal configuration every time. Use fetch XML for selective components. So this is also a thing, a very good best practice that you have to follow, that you don't need to deploy every time everything, okay, because it will create a lot of issues. So always use the fetch XML, always use the naming convention, always use the publishing state. So these are the things, by using that you can simply filter your portal configuration. Use different CRM solution for portal related CRM component that we have already discussed. Avoid deploying your publishing changes without the knowledge of other developers. So that is a part of your collaboration, the communication, that if your CRM team is deploying something, they should convey that thing to the portal, because directly all the components of portal and CRM is linked with each other. So this is the best practices that we have to follow. Before every deployment, you have to convey all the stakeholders and all the parties that is involved in your team in the deployment. So involve all the product owner, project manager, IT manager, to find out who will be involved in the deployment process. Okay, so this is also an important thing. Always take a backup before starting a portal deployment. So yep, so this is also important thing, that before deploying your configuration, your target instance, take the back of your target, so that if anything get matched in the target instance, you can simply roll it. Plan the rollback process in case of any unforeseen issues occur. So it's a good practice that you need to keep in mind, that what should be the rollback process if anything goes wrong. So that is also important thing. So there are a lot of ways to do that. If everything got failed, then you can simply reset the portal as well. So there are a lot of ways to do that. You can reset the portal, or you can restore the backup of your CRM solution. So and if only few configuration got impacted, that you can do it manually as well. Pause your development activities at least half an hour before your deployment start. So this is also a thing you need to keep in mind, that if your development team is scattered the different location, then make sure that before starting your deployment, just pause your development activities for the time. Perform sanity after each deployment, and during the deployment send an email to everyone which is involved in the process. Disable all the ADX Studio, Power Apps portals, out-of-box plugin before starting the deployment. And yeah, keep your connecting string, username, password, and everything that you are using sensitive in your portal configuration or in your Azure DevOps pipeline. Then you need to encrypt that. So this is the best practice that you have to follow. Let's see quickly that what is the status of the deployment. So yeah, so my development, the CI pipeline is completed. Let's see the release pipeline. Yeah, so you can see this release 24 is the recent release pipeline. It's also got succeeded. So this is the way you can simply automate the way. So this is from the Azure DevOps perspective. And the one last thing that I want to let you know, everyone, that this is the one way that you can take your backup of your configuration. But as I told you, this this backup pipeline has took the whole configuration backup, right? But if you want to take the backup of your custom code, and what is the way? So currently there is no out-of-box available way that Microsoft has provided. So I have created my own Power Automate component. So if you go to the GitHub, I have provided the managed solution of that. So there is a portal backup scheduler managed solution is there. So you can simply download this and you can import it in your instance. And how you have to use that, I can simply tell you. So what you have to do is, so let's say this is the instance where you want to take the backup of your all the custom code, because as I told you, the Azure DevOps only take the backup of your configuration. But if you have to take the backup of your custom code individually, so there are no ways available. So what it does is, so there are a lot of ways in the portal right now to write the custom code. You can write the code in your web pages. You can write the code in your web templates, entity forms, entity list, content snippet, and the web forms. So these are the 6 ways and the 6 components where you actually write your HTML, CSS, Liquid template, and the JavaScript code, right? But at the end of the day, you need to identify each and every component, that whatever components I have changed, then you have to take the backup manually. So to automate that process, how to run this Power Automate solution, what you have to do is you just need to create the 2 site settings. The first site setting I have created is a portal backup. You need to keep this value as a true. So it actually says to your Power Automate that you have to automatically trigger and take all the updated components, all the updated code of the web pages and your entity forms, entity list, and keep it in the SharePoint. So I'm actually using the SharePoint to dump all the custom files or your custom backup, but you can use the OneDrive, you can use the the Azure Blob Storage or Dropbox. So there might be a lot of ways to do that, but I'm using SharePoint for that. So this is the first setting you need to enable. The second setting is the portal backup entities. Sorry. So in the portal backup entities, you need to specify that which entity you want to include as part of your portal custom code backup automation. Okay, so let's say you only want to take the backup of your web pages. You don't work on the web template frequently. If you want to take the custom backup of your web pages, just simply remove all these files from here. Okay, and just simply specify the web pages. So I have written a very good article on that to step by step demonstrate that how you can use that. So currently I'm using all these backup entities, web pages, web templates, entity form, entity list, content snippet, and the web form. So because these are the only components right now available in the portal where you can write the custom code. Okay. So yeah. So you just need to create these 2 settings and that's it. And this is the Power Automate I have created. So once you import that solution that is given in the GitHub, you will get this flow available in your instance. The only thing you need to change in this flow is the schedule time. So currently I have scheduled this on the daily basis at 10 o'clock IST time. So you can schedule it as per your need. Okay, so this is the first thing you you might need to change here. And the another thing you can change here is as I'm using the SharePoint to store all my custom files. So I'm using the SharePoint site here. Okay, so you just need to change the SharePoint site, or if you want to use or keep the backup files in your OneDrive or Azure Blob Storage or even the local machine, then you can simply change or replace this step with that particular connector. Okay, so let me simply I'm just running it manually to test that how it takes the backup of your custom files. Okay, so it's running. Still running. And it got successful. Let's see. So here's my SharePoint site. Here you can see under the site contents and under the documents, I'm creating a folder called portal backup, and under the portal backup you can see it has been scheduled for per day basis, so every day it got take the backup. So let me take the today's one. So I'm just opening the today's folder. So as you can see here, it has created the content snippet, entity forms, entity list, web form steps, web pages, and web templates. Okay, if I simply open the web pages, you can see all the web pages, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, which has been modified today. Okay, the same way you can simply see the web templates as well. So I have modified these two templates today. Yeah, so you don't need to worry about the manual backup and all. You can simply schedule this Power Automate solution and can automate your portal backups. It's not part of the Azure DevOps, but it is the part of Power Automate. But yeah, so it is also part of the automation. I also had one question in my last session that whether using Azure DevOps we can store that file into the SharePoint or not. So is there any way available? So yeah, so if you can explore, so there are two ways available in the Power Automate solution. There is a connector available for the Azure DevOps. Okay, so in the Azure, once your build gets completed, so there is a trigger available in your Azure DevOps connector. So once your build gets completed, you can simply fetch the artifacts from the build cycle and can simply store it in your SharePoint, OneDrive, or whatever location you want. And the second option that Azure DevOps out-of-box provide is, if you go to the project settings, I didn't personally use that option. I'm going to write an article on this soon, but I found this a very good option over here, like service hooks, right? So you can simply use the HTTP trigger in your Power Automate or in your Logic apps, and can simply configure that HTTP URL in your service hook in order to push your artifacts from Azure DevOps to the other location. So yeah, so if I go to the webhooks, go to the next. So if you can see here, it's asking the build pipeline, that which pipeline artifacts you want to publish. So I can simply select the build pipeline, go to the next, and you can simply provide the URL. So if you are aware with the Power Automate solution, in the Power Automate there is a trigger option available, that HTTP trigger, right? So you can simply use the HTTP trigger in the Power Automate, or once your build gets completed in the Azure DevOps, it will automatically call that URL and will send the build artifacts to your Power Automate or to your Logic apps, and you can simply store that artifacts at any of the location. So this is the way you can take the backup based on your need. Yeah, so that's it from my side. Thanks everyone. If you have any questions, please let me know.
Thank you once again, Arpit. There are questions coming through straight away. Someone's asked you to share, if you could share your repository. They're very keen on using it.
Yep.
So please share that in the chat window.
Sure.
There is a question. The question from Pavez is there any tooling available to publish custom portal code directly from Visual Studio into Dynamics? Okay, that's yep. So Arpit, do you want to take that question?
Sorry, come again, Raz.
So the
Just give me a
question
moment.
is there any tooling available to publish custom portal code directly from Visual Studio into Dynamics? So imagine working with Liquid, for example.
Oh, okay. That's a really good question, but right now there is no direct way available that you can directly connect your custom portal code from the Visual Studio to Dynamics. I don't think there is a direct way available.
That's correct. There isn't. I remember seeing some preview features of being able to do it within inside of the portal, but yeah, not through Visual Studio. Question from Daniel is: I extract the data export into the repro and commit so I can track changes. I see you have used publish artifacts. Is Artifact a better solution?
Yeah, it actually depends. For the portal backup purpose, I have used the artifacts, but it actually depends on situation to situation. That I extract the data export into the repro and commit, so I can track changes. I see you have used the public. So for the backup purpose, I would recommend to go with the publish artifacts. But if you are using, if you are using the build or the release cycle, then definitely you go with your approach as well. You export the changes from commit, because obviously you usually use the Visual Studio for all kind of deployments. You don't usually prefer to directly create the repository like I have created. So this is for the demonstration purpose, but in the actual cycle you actually deploy your portal code along with the Dynamic 365. So yes, you are right.
So Philip's asking, how do you handle deletion of portal pages?
So deletion of the portal pages, you mean to say in terms of deployment you are asking? That
So if a
uh,
portal page gets deleted, I believe,
yeah.
managing the recovery?
Yeah. No, so there is no direct way available. So deletion, you always have to take it manually into account.
Actually, sorry, no. He's probably asking how to delete new pages. I'm guessing. Just waiting for him to clarify. But I'm assuming, sorry, yeah, because it is possible you may want to delete a mistake.
But in any case, so it's a good question. But if any case, if you have deleted something in your development instance, right? So that is a manual thing you have to do, right? In your target instance, you have to delete that configuration manually. There is no direct way available because it's a record. It's not the customization that you are doing in the Dynamics that override the changes, right? So it's a record, so you have to delete the record from the database.
There's an interesting behavior of the way the configuration data is handled using the configuration using solution packages. But again, it was not going to be a very nice way of doing it. But I remember having to deal with a similar scenario. I'm trying to rack my brain as to what it was, but it was definitely related to the reconstruction of the artifacts. If there were removed objects, data objects, and the behavior of configuration is different to the configuration of CSV files. I wrote a blog about it. Sorry, Philip, I'm going to have to. You got me thinking there, because I remember finding a way to overcome a certain. Anyway, let's look at the next question. So it's so the other questions are to do with. There's another question here from. Any other questions?
If we use naming convention prefix, those names will going to visible in the portal. Actually, this is the way you have to handle, right? if you are using the naming convention, it's actually available on the portal as well. So you just need to simply write a code in your JavaScript if you really want to change that particular name. Yeah.
And they're asking about
you need to handle that. Yeah, you need to handle that using CSS. Yeah.
There was a question related to the schema template for portals, which I believe Ambesh and Jack has shared, which obviously is going to be a big help for a lot of people, just having the schema of the entity objects. So thanks for sharing that.
I'm going to share one article where I have demonstrated this deployment backup process and the Microsoft link where they have given the schema file of all the portals, customer self-service, partner portal, and the community portal. So you can find all this information on my article.
Okay, any other questions? I mean, at the end of the day, the portal, to be honest, the portal deployments is probably the biggest bane of portals, you know, compared to web development. Deployment of portals is far more complex. So Daniel is saying it sounds like we could use a build step from Whale to delete data based on a query. And then Whale Hams is saying, very good session. Great to see the different ways communities using Power DevOps tools. Yeah. Geordie Montana saying, nice session, Arpit. And Rauf is asking for naming convention. Oh, you've answered that one. That's great. Yep. And then Philip is saying, thanks, Arpit. Nice session. So yeah, so again, you've kind of demonstrated the different features of how to use build tools and Power Automate, and the different tools available to complete this action to help maintain portal development, which again is probably the biggest bane of portals really. And it's interesting because a very famous Microsoft MVP, Power Apps MVP, didn't have a clue. So basically, you've answered his question. He literally just asked it a few hours ago, Arpit. So for the Dynamics MVPs, obviously, and for the community, we're obviously more familiar with that. And Adam Klein is saying, cheers, Arpit. A lot of new stuff to learn that he's learned in the session. So again, thank you, Arpit. Arpit, you've done a lot of contributions, and you know, so thanks again for all the contributions. I think you've done quite a lot of sessions over the past few weeks, especially covering all the different areas. So, Arpit, do you have any announcements to make to the attendees, to the community?
I only want to say thanks everyone. I'm really glad to see such a great strength at the end of the session event as well. So thanks for making the time to attending this session, and it feels really great if you know, and I'm really glad to see such a great comment here. So thanks for joining, and yep, thanks.
So that was the last session from Arpit, and